Welcome, Joel, and thanks for joining me today in today's masterclass session.
Thank you, John. It's a real honor and a privilege to be with you.
I've interviewed a lot of farmers and talked to lots of them, but I've never met one that has done 4+ million in a year farming. So I just love to distill some of what those pivotal steps were for you in this journey to where you are now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So, we did start out here. Mom and dad, dad was an accountant. Mom was a school teacher. And so growing up, my main memories of growing up here are experiments. Dad was very, very visionary, very much out of the box. And so if I may give credit where credit's due, one of my greatest things I'm thankful for, we're heading up to Thanksgiving here, and if somebody asks me what's one of the most great things you're most grateful for me, it was growing up in a home that didn't mind being a maverick. When we talk about marketing, one of the most critical elements in marketing, branding, and creating your story is to be different. And I don't mean different in a bad way. I mean different in an embracing, attractive way, so that people are attracted to your difference. And so when I look back on the things that our family did, I mean, in the '60s, our joke was Dad was organic before Rachel Carson wrote Silent Spring. But long before the word organic was even used much, we were composting before Alan Savory was popular. We were moving the cows around every day. So Dad was on the cutting edge. I feel like Dad was on the cut. Somehow he had a way to ferret out what's going to be the best way to do these things. And so we did a lot of experimenting as we were going. And so when I wanted to come back to the farm full time, so I get out of college and I'm back here and I'm working at the newspaper, and now I have the same thing that Dad spent his life. How do I make a living on this little farm? And now I'm doing it. And in fact, his father did it in Indiana. He lived his life. How do I make a living on a little farm? He never did. Dad never did. And so here I am. So our joke in the family is it took us 3 generations, to finally get to this point. But by that time we had a lot of experiments and conviction and what should I say, proof of concept. I had a lot of proof of concept. It was small, I never had more than 300 chickens. We never had more than about 15 cows. Okay. 3 or 4 pigs. All right. But we had proof of concept in the different things that we were doing. And so when I came back full time, so Teresa and I got married, we made an apartment in the farmhouse up in the attic. And I married a gal more frugal than I am. Fortunately, that's another big blessing. And so working off farm, both of us, we were able to save within 2 years. We saved half of our paychecks, and they weren't big check. I remember I was a cub reporter at a newspaper. They don't get paid a lot, all right. And she worked at a fabric store, and so. But by living here, we only ate from the garden. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't go to the theater. We didn't go on vacation. We didn't, and we drove a $50 car. In 2 years, we were able to save enough that we said, you know what, we could live on this for 1 year. And so September 24, 1982, I walked out of that office and came back to the farm. I didn't think we would make it. I thought that we would run through it, and then I'd have to, go back to an off-farm job again at some point. But I was so committed to getting back here full time that I thought, well, if I'm here full time, maybe we'll cut our time away from 15 years to 12 or 12 to 8 or that sort of thing. And as it turned out, we never went back. It took us about 3 years till we, as I say, till we could exhale and oh, okay, I think we're going to make it. It took 3 years. It was very tight, but boy, we wouldn't trade those years for anything. And so the beauty of this was we had already been here 20 years, and I had watched Dad's experiments and been involved with them all on a tiny scale, on an experimental scale, that we were able then to just gradually leverage and move up, to additional things. The second year we added the meat chickens, the broilers. Um, and because I had my little flock of layers as a teenager and peddled eggs around the community, I knew how to butcher a chicken. So we started these broilers we inherited it from an Amish family who was raising them just so they could raise their own for themselves, but they didn't butcher them. Well, I was able to add the convenience of butchering to the people who bought them. It was like 12 customers, and so we kind of stepped into that when they were looking for somebody to take it over. They were getting older and wanted to get out of it. And so I said, I'm not afraid to butcher chickens. And so, we started into that, and that was that little seed that that moved forward into the pastured poultry operation. So, yeah, we had proof of concept under our belts, but and then it was just a matter of being here full time where we could scale it.
Hmm. Yeah, what did that look like? I mean, I know when I've started small businesses on my own in the past, at least nowadays, you build a website, you get your bank account set up, and you register it with the state, and then you think the masses will just come because you're
Oh,
president now, right? So, what did that look like? It sounds like you had the basic skill sets from being raised on the farm. You knew that these practices could be implemented, but how do you go from
yeah,
starting your own career in this profession
right.
once launching? Yeah.
Well, they were very different days back then. There was no internet. Everything was snail mail and phone calls, and so I'm a little bit older than you are, maybe quite a bit. But anyway, uh, so when we started, I think the biggest whatever lie is the Kevin Costner thing. If you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
no, they won't come. You've got to go out and find them. It's not up to your customers to find you. It's up to you to go find your customers.
Mm,
And so another huge advantage that I had, and this is, I think, an incredible or a foundational, a pillar, if you will, of this discussion. Parents always ask me, well, my 8-year-old wants to be a farmer. What's your advice to him? And should he go to agriculture college? Should he join the FFA? Blah blah blah.
mm,
And my advice is always get them involved in theater, debate, public speaking, forensics, Toastmasters, because my mentor Alan Nation, founder of Stockman Grass Farmer, always said the communicators lead their industry, whatever it is,
mm,
whatever their particular vocation is, plumber, electrician, IT, whatever it is. Communicators um, lead their vocation,
mm,
and so I was blessed with a bit of gift of communication, and so I did that through high schools and theater and drama and things like that. So when we came back to the farm full time, it was a natural thing for me to develop a program for groups that were looking for a dinner speaker
mm,
and for entertainment. I put together a slide program, and I would go and do a slide program on how to save the earth with pasture-based livestock. And then at the end, I would say, now, if you'd like to participate in this, we'd be glad to add you to our customer list.
mm,
And so I did Ruritan, Kiwanis, Rotary, AARP, retired teachers, JCs, all these civic organizations, and which are barely in existence today.
mm,
Uh, that civic local communication has all moved to the internet now.
mm,
But back in those days, it was actually physical in the community, and each one of those, I'd pick up 2, 3, 4 customers, and it just grew one little piece at a time, one at a time. So fortunately, because of the way we were living on about $300 a month, which is just, unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it would be equivalent to living on, I don't know what, maybe $1,200 a month now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still pretty, pretty low.
Uh-huh.
Um, for a family, we had Daniel, and so there was two of us and Daniel. And so we were living very, very cheaply, which meant that it took that living cheaply took the pressure off of us having to generate income rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and, and so, if we had needed a lot more income, it would have put a lot more pressure on developing the customer base and the marketing aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But because we lived so cheaply, they were kind of in balance. We weren't. Now, we believe me, we lived, ate, and drank marketing. Um, because marketing is, well, as Alan Nation used to tell me, he said it's the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Divorce, death, disenfranchisement, and dislocation. People move, people die, people get divorced, and people get disenfranchised for whatever reason. And
Mm-hmm.
those three D's are with every single business. It doesn't matter what business you are; they're with every single business. And so you constantly have to be replacing people, in order to, and then to add people, as you develop.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. You touched on several different things there. I think it's just foundational skill set to have a sales skill set and then also a marketing skill set in order to have your business thrive, right? So, um, at least for me, in my experience, when it comes to sales, when I talk to farmers about it, they just think of it, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be pushy to people. I'll focus on the value of my product. I'll grow the best tomato or in the healthiest way, and people will just come. They'll spread the word on themselves. Word of mouth will spread. But uh, what do you say to that? I mean, you've done such a good job not only promoting but also scaling your business. So what does that look like to you when you refute that argument of just I'll
Yeah,
focus on the quality and not actually talking to your customers and
yeah.
promoting the awesome product that you're providing to your community?
So the best way to look at that, and listen, I totally get when I talk to farmers, I start this saying, look, I get your the farmer attitude of, I don't want to be pushy, I don't want to sound like the hawker down at the local circus, come see our, and there's actually a bit of pushback when I say I have better tomatoes. Well, then the other far, am I supposed to say my tomatoes are better than that guy's tomatoes?
Mhm.
And so there's a bit of that uh, we don't want to. Farmers tend to be a fairly self-deprecating lot. That's just the way we are. I'm just a farmer. You don't hear a guy at a party say, "Come and introduce himself. I'm Doctor Andy. Weinstein, and I'm just a heart surgeon. With his head down, and but farmers do that. Okay, so I get that. But here's the thing: when you're marketing, you have to interrupt a person's routine. Nobody goes to the store. Nobody looks at the cornucopia of items out there and says, I've been a diehard, Head and Shoulders guy all my life, and somehow today I just have a hankering to become a Pantene Pro V guy, or I've been using Crest all my life for toothpaste, and suddenly I want to use Colgate. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Which is why companies put little samples in your mailbox. At least they used to. Little soap samples, toothpaste samples, stuff like that. And so we kind of did a three-pronged approach. The first one was this educational component that I said. We put together this program that we could go out, because people had never heard of organic farming, pastured. Yeah, it was today it's much more, within the cultural lexicon than it was back in the early 1980s. Okay. And uh, and so so we were, I was explaining how we did this. So the first thing was education. That's information, bringing people along to to an understanding that there are better ways or better options. Okay, just positing that. The second
Mhm.
thing we did was um, we gave samples to people when so again, samples work. And the back then our primary thing was grass finished beef. Well, everybody heard, well, grass finished beef is tough, it's gamey, it doesn't taste good, da da da. And so we would give samples to people. And samples work, because again, very few people are going to break out of their purchase routine.
Mhm.
This is where I go. This is what I purchase. And King Charles always said a culture is known by its religion, its food, and its architecture. And when you think about it, how many people break out of religion, food, and architecture, in their life? They just don't. You get in
Mhm.
this routine, and that's where you go. And so samples can give somebody an aha moment. Oh, I didn't know that there could be this much difference in a chicken or an egg or a tomato or whatever. So
Mm.
we get so we still do. We give a lot of samples. We still give a lot of samples. And the third thing that we did was that whenever somebody would become a customer, whether it was a call or a letter or whatever. And back in those days, it wasn't email. Whenever somebody would come, we would always ask, well, not first, well, what do you want? But I'd ask first, where did you hear about us? And
Mm.
well, I had lunch over with Jane Doe over there. She had this chicken soup and it was so good. I asked her where she got her chicken, and she told me. And so then I'd put a little note in her customer. We had a customer file, all of our customers, and I'd put a little post-it note in there that the next time Jane Doe comes out for something, I'm going to hug her and slobber all over and give her something free to thank her for passing the word along. And man, that was very, very effective, and we still do that. That's how we continue to market to our several thousand families that we deliver to in our like 35 urban neighborhood drop points, because we're not there. We don't buy software advertising, but what we do is when any first time customer, the first time they order, now of course this is all on the internet, on an internet shopping cart, but there's a blank there that they can put the reference to who sent them to us, and that automatically ties in to our software, so that person immediately gets a $10 credit on their next purchase for sending us a person. It's kind of a permutation on loyalty points. But
Yeah.
I think it's pretty amazing that even today, as sophisticated as all this is, um, still, even the companies that buy, $1 million 30-second ads at the NFL Super Bowl, those companies still 80% of their new business comes from referral, from word of mouth referral.
Mm.
That's still the number one. And
Mhm.
so if you can if you can be encouraged to promote to somebody else and have an actual physical manifestation thank you from the business you've recommended, that's a powerful motivator. And so we actually have some people in our customers in our drop points, these metropolitan drop points, that actually pay less for food from us than they do at the grocery store, because every month they're bringing us 3, 4, 5 customers. Well, they get 30, 40 bucks off an order. Suddenly they're eating cheaper than they would if they went to Costco. But for us, each one of those people is worth another $500 to $1,000 in a year. That's the cheapest marketing you can ever do, because it's targeted, and so people bring people like themselves, and you have a very low or dropout rate, because it's people that have had a direct word of mouth endorsement.
Yeah, yeah. It's fascinating to hear how you've used marketing principles that even like I remember listening to an interview of yours, even in the early 2000s, you went and started selling online and pre-selling your orders in the early 2000s. And then even these drop points that you do, these urban drop points, was kind of a unique testing of the market that you endeavored into. It seems like what has taken you from homestead into a $4 million+ farm is your ability to adapt and identify market needs. I mean, even what you were talking about earlier, it's part of what we call in marketing the awareness journey. People are unaware of a problem. You make them aware of the problem. You were going and talking to people, letting them know about the problem. Then once they're aware of the problem, they want to know what the solutions are out there. You give them a taste of what you've produced, right? Now
Yep.
they know there's a solution out to that problem that you've let them know about, right? So
Yep.
it's just so impactful for me as a marketer to hear that you just intuitively picked up on this stuff over the years, and that what has brought you to the point where you are now. Even your referral program is just you continue to adapt and overcome. You went from going and talking directly one-on-one to people to now moving into the digital age and thriving in it. Honestly, this referral program, I have questions about how you're doing that from a tech side. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that is a key component too. Yeah.
And let me be go back a little bit to even the early in the 1980s. We so back then we didn't sell beef by the cut. The only way you could get beef from us was a quarter and a half, and we would do it once a year in the fall. And so we would do whatever 15, 20 in the fall, up to 30. And so we we would meet people at the custom. This was all custom slaughter. I don't want to get into the rabbit holes about but anyway, it's stamped not for sale. So people would buy freezer beef, quarter, half, whole, and we would meet them at the slaughterhouse on a designated day. Everybody would pick up there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we found was that a sometimes the slaughterhouse people were not they didn't like being interrupted that much, by our onslaught of even it was business for them, and we didn't like the fact that our customers had all these questions, and they weren't, and we were at some other place and not at the farm. So for years then, until we started selling by the cut and kind of outgrew it, but for several years then we did what we called a meat pickup reception. So this was in the fall. It was always in the fall. So it was near Thanksgiving, which is good. And so we would go over, and this was tough. We would go over, and I mean, all hands on deck, and we're bringing home like a cattle trailer full of boxes of meat for all these customers. They come to the farm. They've got like a window of whatever, like 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, all right, in the evening to come pick up. We'd come. We didn't have refrigeration, so this all had to be done. It was risky, because we didn't have. It was all frozen, but we didn't have a freezer. But we'd have hot apple cider. We'd have refreshments and stuff, so that people could sit around, meet each other, and it became a very fellowship oriented relational kind of
Mm.
a thing that people remembered. Their kids would come and they could see the cows in the field, they could pick up their meat, and we could love on them, and we could make the transaction, and it was here, and it was really special. So I'm just saying that to point out that you can never overdo building that relationship with your customer. You
That's
can
so
never
cool.
overdo that, and that was very successful early on.
Yeah. Yeah. So to build a tribe and scale building a tribe, and
Right.
and that's what I think you've effectively done, is that Polyface Farms is a brand, a national brand. How would you say telling your story has played into your growth? A lot of times, as a marketer, I know that when people come to a website for the first time, the 52% of them, the first click they make is the About Us page. They want to know the story behind any business or company they come and visit that landing page,
Right.
that homepage. So,
Yeah.
how important has conveying your story been to your marketing in transferring a shoe is just a shoe unless it's got the Nike Swoope on it, right? Then it becomes in a brand, an identity giving brand, and you feel part of that tribe because of whatever feelings or lifestyle associations you have with it. How have
Yeah.
you converted a hunk of meat into a brand by telling your story?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So, and I don't say that we do it right all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but I will tell you that your story has to be told in in terminology that your customer resonates with.
Mm.
Uh, what uh, and so you've got to be gentle and light on what drives you, but you've got to speak it in terms that drive them. And so while I am very committed to to grass finished beef, it doesn't become impactful from a marketing standpoint until I say I'm committed to grass finished beef because of what it does for you. Okay.
Mm. So
If
good.
you don't put because of what it does for you on
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
you've just completely missed the opportunity. And what I see, what the most common thing in farmers, that are direct marketing, is their website and their homepage, everything. It's all about them, their vision, their dreams, all that. But they're missing. And this is why it's important for you.
Mm.
However that has to be said, that's the key. And
Yes.
so and so we now do. I mean, now if we move right to today, we now do a weekly blog from the farm. I do one. There's four of us that do them. We four of us that do them. We do them on a rotation once a week. I do the first one of the month, and other people do the other three. And people love to hear. They love to hear from me, but my team, they love to hear from these new young people and their perspective,
Mm.
because they're learning and they've had these, epiphanal moments, and they can share them with folks. We've done numerous bundling and interesting things. One of the most interesting ones we did, one of the most successful ones we did several years ago, was I came up with this idea of food coach. I realized everybody has a coach. They've got a wellness coach, a tutor coach for their kids. They got all these coaches, and I realized that a lot of our customers are very ignorant about food. They're city
Mm.
people. They didn't grow up on a farm. They don't know the difference between a rooster and a pullet. They don't know the lingo. They don't know the stuff. And so I realized how what a dramatic difference it was when people bought volume. And so how do I get people to buy? How do I get to people to buy, 10 chickens and not just two at a
Mm.
time? Let's
Mhm.
try to increase this volume, because we're always trying. The hard part in marketing is getting a. And I'm gonna get back to that, but I got one little tangent,
Mm.
if I may.
Yeah.
Uh, the hard part in marketing is getting a customer. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
but once you have a customer, the easy part, if they're loyal and they like you, the easiest thing in the world is to sell them something else. Well, I like your chicken. Well, do you have beef? I like your beef and chicken. Do you have pork? I
Mm.
like beef, pork, and chicken. Do you have flowers? I mean, there's so the easiest part in marketing is tacking additional items onto what we call a mothership. So we,
Mhm.
we have we have this core things, mothership, and I'm convinced one of the reasons we've been successful is because virtually from day one we had beef, pork, chicken, eggs, and we weren't just beef or just pork or just chicken or just eggs. We so you could literally get all your animal protein. I mean, unless you wanted something exotic like bison or emu or something like that. But you could basically get your core animal protein from us, a one-stop shop. One-stop shops work. I mean, that's why people go to Walmart. You get your oil change, diapers, and bananas all at the same place. And so I'm
Mm.
not planning to change your oil or sell your diapers, but the more things you can get. So our farm store here, you basically can eat out of our farm store. We work with other local food crafters and artisans in the area. You can get everything from milk, chocolate milk, cheese, uh, uh,
Mm.
chicken broth, heavy stews, meat stews, chicken, pork, beef, chicken, kombucha. We work with an outfit that does ferments, all sorts of sauerkraut and kimchi ferments, uh, and 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 whole egg noodles. I'm trying to think. You can pretty much eat out of our farm store. And so here, we don't live on a main highway. We live out on the middle of a, out on a dirt road, off the edge of a cliff, and and so several years ago, we began going down this. How do we get people to come to the farm? Because it has to be a destination location, and so we started adding things that other people in the community had. So we now have this cornucopia in the store of other items, and so people can come and shop and they can get a lot of different things. Then we actually did an interesting analysis. What does a dollar cost us? What do we spend marketing to get a dollar? So we're servicing restaurants, a couple grocery stores, and these urban drop points, the on-farm shop, and we analyzed what the various things, and we found out that our on-farm store was the costliest interface that we had,
Mhm.
because you have to have somebody running the cash register.
Right.
And if the cash register isn't busy, that's a lot of overhead. For now, obviously we're answering the phone and different things, but it got so several years ago we changed a bunch of stuff here, and we put in a children's playground. And so we've got now a big gravel box that kids can play in, tire swings, fort they can play in, two teeter totters, all this stuff, and it has been an amazing thing for kids to build memories. And in 3 weeks they say, "Hey, mommy, let's go back to that playground," and mommy's going to come back and she's going to buy $100 worth of stuff. When she comes back. So the more things that you can add on to increase the experience,
Mm.
because we live in a frenzied, frenetic society that's busy, and whether you're selling at a farmer's market or on a website or on a roadside stand or on a on-farm store, what you're trying to do is, as this rush of people goes about their lives, you're trying to get their attention.
Mm.
You're trying to, and their attention spans is very, very short. And so the more things, if they can come and get food, their kids can play for a half hour in a lovely environment. They can have a picnic lunch under a tree with a gurgling brook next to it. Maybe a kid can put a fishing pole in a pond and grab a fish. Or goodness, a lot of kids come out and they want to go in the wintertime when the chickens are all up here in by the sales building. We let kids go out. They want to gather eggs. So we give them a box. They go out to the house and actually gather eggs out of the nest box. I mean, you know what? I mean, that's an incredible experience for a kid. And so those memories make them want to come back. So several years ago, said, how can we get people to buy more, at a time, and increase these check sizes, or these purchase sizes? And I said, so I presented this idea. Let us be your larder coach. I told him about larder. We don't use that word anymore. But I said, 100 years ago, the food was not at a Costco warehouse. It was in the home larder. That's where the ham was hanging and the dried, vegetables and canned goods and stuff. It was in the home larder. And I said, one of the best things that we can do today to not panic when a blizzard comes, or there's a longshoreman strike, or Putin invaded Ukraine or whatever, is to prepare, and to have a few months worth of food in the house and a freezer and stuff. And I know that you don't know how to do that, so I'm going to hold your hand. I'm going to be your larder coach, shepherd you through this. And so if you buy 10 chickens, as a larder, we called it the chicken larder. In other words, you're making a volume purchase. And it was the best marketing campaign we've ever done. Yeah, man, I want to do that. I want to be coached. People love to learn things. They love to feel like I'm going to be your personal larder coach. Cool. Hey, you go to work. I've got a larder coach. You ever heard of a larder coach? Well, larder, what's that? And it stimulates discussion, and it puts you in this this wonderful special place. Like you've got an inn that I got an inn that nobody does. I got Gucci shoes. Uh, and so these are all things. So my latest things. Have you read Talk Triggers? The book Talk Triggers. It's
No.
a it's probably the best marketing book I've read in the last 5 years. The title is Talk Triggers. I can't think of the author, but it's basically how do you stimulate social buzz with your product, with your brand? How do you create social buzz with your brand?
Mm.
Because obviously word of mouth and social buzz are, they're now, the same thing. And the most famous talk trigger is at Doubletree Hotel. You go to Doubletree Hotel and you check in. You know what they give you when you check in a Doubletree Hotel?
Uh,
They give you a nice big warm chocolate chip cookie. And so people stand, they check in, they do a selfie with their chocolate chip. Just checked into Doubletree, got my chocolate chip cookie. That's a talk trigger. It creates social buzz about a brand. And so I read the book. I was so taken by the concept. I started thinking, what could we use for a talk trigger? And so I came up with the idea: what if we took a chicken to our drop points? The chicken can ride on the truck with everything else. We make a
mm.
real nice little a little crate for it, and people can actually see, touch, hold a chicken. And we'll name her Polyhen. We're Polyface, so this is Polyhen. And do you know we've now done that for I think this is the end of our second year or third year doing it. And there are people, listen, John, there are people, believe it or not, who take their kids out of school to come to the food pickup to see Polyhen. I mean, there's a guy in a wheelchair, and his caregiver, every time we go up there, his caregiver wheels him 3 blocks in his wheelchair down to see the chicken. These urban people, I mean, for us, it's nothing. It's a chicken. What's the big deal? But if you're in the city, you got kids, they may have never seen a chicken before. They've never touched a chicken. They've never actually held a chicken. So that's been a really cool thing. So people can sit there, and they can see, I'm picking up my Polyface order, take their
Mhm.
selfie. I'm here with Polyhen, picking up my self order, and once in a while, Polyhen sends an email to our customers from Polyhen, so she has her own perspective on things. So anyway,
Yeah.
those are just some things that we do to try to create a familial relational atmosphere and information to where we want our customers to believe they are the best informed, the best educated customers in the world.
Yeah, and I think you do a great job of that with that kind of experiential learning. So many farmers they'll hold like a workshop and then they'll just walk people around and talk the whole time to them. And I think it's more about the experience. They have to plant a seed in a seeding tray and walk out of there with their new seedling to go plant in their garden or whatever that experience. They want to get their hands in the dirt. So it's like to just have a farm stand. And an unmanned farm stand without your story inside of it, without any pictures, and without any um, storytelling attributes to it, you're missing the point. I recently went to a farm stand and there was a story right on there. Hey, this is run by my 3 boys. We wanted to teach them the value of starting their own business and then running a small farm. It just all of a sudden I wanted to buy everything they had. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's storytelling. Every business owner is in the business of storytelling, and greatest storyteller wins. Right. So that's what
Yeah.
it's come down to is that's how we change our products from commodities to an actual branded product, is with a story we are telling, and one that we should be proud to tell, right? So all of a sudden sales goes from I'm being pushy to I'm supporting a movement or a change or a shift in my community through my product or service, right? And that's powerful, and that should get you up in the morning. That impact should be more important, and then the money will follow after, right? So
Yeah.
like you were talking about earlier, you have such a good business mindset as a marketer. When you were mentioning these things, in my mind, there's only 3 ways to every business makes money: acquire new customers, increase your average order value when they go to purchase, and then get them to come back, right? So you've done a combination of all of those things. Bring in new customers. Let's have a selfie station at our farm, place for kids to play. We'll bring the chicken to them at these urban drop points. Let's increase our average order value. Let's stuff our farm stand full of similar but different business products, and then
Right.
let's get them to come back. We need loyalty. Let's give them
Mm-hmm.
a referral bonus. So you're firing on all cylinders as far as how to keep your business profitable and scaling. And I think your renewed interest in learning has allowed you to do that. You don't get flattened out once you have enough to make a full-time income on your farm. You just stop there. It seems like there's this continual interest and
Oh,
find the pit holes in the business.
well,
Yeah.
listen. One of the Alan Nation always told me. He said over time, entrepreneurs begin hating their customers because because an entrepreneur is constantly refining, moving, growing. Your own mentality, what you know about your product, your mastery level, your skill level, and mastery level are always increasing. But every day you've got a brand new customer that comes in at elementary level and asks the same question, over and over again, and over time, entrepreneurs begin just again, tell us again. And so that's why it's important as you grow to bring in, new young blood
Mm.
that can take those, new novice customers, take that weight off your shoulders so you can continue to be out here, making progress and doing new things. So at this point, right now, there's about seven of us here who interact with customers, either blogging, answering emails, placing, packing orders, shipping, running inventory, all that, and so about once a quarter, I have a marketing brainstorming session, or just a marketing session with all of my team, and and I mean I run it, but um, but I don't do much of the talking. Basically, it's just a platform for everybody to, what are you hearing? What are pain points from people? And so we are constantly making adjustments, when we went to online. So we were doing these urban. This is a good, I think, a interesting way to look. We love nostalgia, okay, and part of our story is nostalgia. We want to be. I mean, we run cows like the bison. We move them every day. And we're the wolf. So we use those kind of metaphors that our pattern is ancient and historic, and so that's the way this is working. Okay, so anyway, several years ago, um, so here we are. We're selling online, and we're doing these urban drop points, these neighborhood drops, and we started just getting a lot of pushback or pain. It was hard to retain customers because it was hard to order, and so when we went to online ordering, we started this with fax machines and phone calls, and a paper order blank way back, and then as internet came on and people started doing that, we gradually moved to thought, well, this will be an easier interface. Well, the problem was they would order, but we couldn't take their money because we were selling everything by the pound. I mean, we're in the meat business. You sell chicken by the pound, T-bone steaks by the pound, you sell meat by the pound. But there's no software so we couldn't consummate the order. We couldn't tell them how much they had to pay until we actually put the order together and weighed it, and then they'd pay us when we went to the drop point. Well, this ended up being a big pain point for people, because what we've learned is that if you have a space that people can order online, if you're doing an online interface, every deviation from Amazon is a pain point.
Mm. Good
If
point.
it doesn't look, act, and walk like Amazon, every deviation from Amazon becomes a buyer's hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
And so here they were ordering online, but they couldn't pay, and then they had to pay. They had to, come and pay. And so one winter we took a month, and we we changed all of our pricing, not at the farm store. We still sell by the pound at the farm store, but on the online sales, now we have 3 categories of ribeyes, 3 categories of broiler, 3 categories of boneless, skinless breast. Everything became 3 categories, so we could sell by the piece, because Amazon doesn't sell anything by the pound; it sells by
Mm-hmm.
the package. And so we had to go to package pricing rather than pound pricing. And that was it was amazing, the breakthrough that was for people to suddenly have it look like Amazon and take off that pain point. So one of my questions to people all the time when I do, marketing seminars is, how hard is it to buy from you?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you don't know anything, come to your website. How hard is it to find out what you believe, to find out what you sell, to find out how to buy? How easy is it to buy from you? And so, as you know, this the online retail whatever software packaging is changing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and so you need to hook up. We don't have the expertise in house to keep up with it all. So we have a good outfit that we work with. Started out to be a Gray's cart, and now they've been sold. But anyway, we work with an outfit that does this for us. And okay, so it costs 3 or 4 or $5,000 a year, but at least we stay current, and we stay right to the cutting edge of whatever those interfaces look like.
Mm-hmm.
And because electronic aggregation is absolutely the name of the game. That's where we need to go now that we started July 4th, 2019, shipping. We'd never shipped. And there again, you got to keep your ear to the ground. Listen to what the pain point is. So here we were, we were cultists on local food, regional food. No, we don't ship. We don't go find your local farmer. And so, we're here. We've got Stanton. It's 10 miles away. It's a town of 20,000. Plenty of people to buy, everything that we want. But we started hearing people, well, we lose a customer and run into them. Well, you haven't bought anything. Well, I can just sit in my jammies and order it from Butcher Box, and it lands on my doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And we started hearing this, and we realized, goodness, nostalgia is great until it's obsolete. And so we realized, well, we got to make a change here. And then we were putting so much effort on trying to cultivate local customers. Meanwhile, we'd have a local customer who would say, well, I've got a cousin in Baltimore. They'd love to get from you, but you don't ship. Or I got a cousin in, St. Louis. They'd love to get from you, but you don't ship. And we're saying, good grief, why are we knocking our heads against a wall here locally when we've got relatives and friends and people that want to get from us? And shipping logistics have changed dramatically in the last 10 years. So July 4th, 2019, we launched nationwide shipping, and that has suddenly moved to, it is fast going to be half of our whole sales.
Wow.
is shipping. It is just on a straight. And again, we're not advertising, but we just so how we make that work is that our shipping people get a what is it, a commission. So they're on salary. We have 22 people that earn a salary here, but nobody is hourly. We don't believe in hourly wages. So you're either salary or you're performance based, or a combination of the two. So the lady that runs our shipping, that actually runs our packaging and shipping department, she's on a base salary, but she also gets a commission on every single box she ships.
Yep.
Guess what that does? That means she really wants it to be right. She wants the customer to be happy, because she wants to retain these customers. And in 2 years, she has gone from an average of like 30 boxes a week to now she's up over 150 boxes a week. So
Wow.
she has built her own salary increase just by performance base. And
Mm.
so that's how you incentivize your team members so that you're not just using hirelings. You actually have risk fellow stakeholders and risk takers on the team with you to make sure that your customer service and your fulfillment is as good as it can be.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when you're looking for a babysitter for your kids, so you don't want to leave your kid with a complete stranger. That's you want to leave your kid with a family member, an aunt, right?
Exactly.
Because they're incentivized, they have skin in the
Yeah.
game, right? They want to see that child grow and be happy, and they'll
Yeah.
invest, right? So it's the same thing with your business. It's kind of scary to leave your business in the hands of someone that's incentivized just to get through the hours and watch the clock tick by
Right.
versus someone that's incentivized they align their goals and their mission with the business rather than against it. So
Yeah.
yeah, and as you were speaking there, it reminded me of also kind of the future of things too, right? So you've done a great job of adapting the business from faxes and phone calls to e-commerce and online selling. What does that look like for you in the future? I know a lot of farmers get fearful of AI and what that'll do. And I'm kind of the mindset of if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. So like what AI tools are out there that could actually spread your story further and faster than not even your competitors, but just the space in general. I mean, they have AI influencers now that are taking over social media and making millions of dollars. They don't even exist. So
Yeah.
how do we compete with that into the future? How do we share our story and adapt to this new generation that's we're gonna be forced into?
Well, I can tell you that there is a balance here,
Mm,
and of authenticity,
mm,
because our customers, when you look at how do you position yourself as a brand? When people think of you, what words do they use? And here are words that we want to hear people use for us. We want to hear them use the word authentic, integrity, um, um, service, excellent service, stewardship. These are all words. I mean, I'd love them. I'm happy if they use the word "he loves me." That's great too.
mhm,
But with that in mind, for example, we have people who want access to our mailing list for various reasons. And I'm trying to think, about 3 months ago, I did a blog, one of our monthly blogs. I did it on that we will never open our mailing list to any other group, any other outfit, because this is a relationship between you and us, and we think you're pretty special, and we're not going to monetize you beyond our relationship. And we got emails back from people just expressing gratitude
mm,
that we hold this relationship in precious confidence.
mm,
And they never got an email like that from another business.
mm,
And so we're very careful um, about how we step into these hackable, whatever, affiliate nefarious kinds of things.
mhm,
And and we might be a little, look, we've always been a little bit behind on these things. We've never been the first to jump into stuff. We want to kind of sit back and say, and I think our customers like that. They know that we're conservative on technology. We're conservative on these things, and they actually like that. It's one of the things they like about us. They know we're not going to be jumping into whatever the latest greatest techno sophisticated thing is. and
mhm,
and that includes how we communicate with them. It includes how we answer the phone. One of
mm,
our one of our commitments is that you will never call Polyface and get a robot. Now, we have an answering machine, okay, because we can't answer the phone all the time, but you'll never get a press one, press two, press three. If you're calling during business hours, a live person will answer the phone, and will either answer your question or take your information, and one of our team members will call you back or email you back. But you're not going to get a 2, 3, 4, 5, and somebody that doesn't speak English living in Pakistan to answer the phone. And so those are core principles we've actually written down. We call it 10 Commandments for Scaling Up Without Selling Your Soul.
Great.
And those are things that we've made very public, very direct, and our people appreciate that. And that is part of that authenticity, that true blue authenticity. So I don't have an answer to your question because I'm not on the cutting edge. I'm not on the cutting edge of all those those AI things. But if I will tell you something that I was surprised. I was down checking in on the girls down at the packing at the freezer where they're packing down there, and I didn't even know this. This is how far out of the loop I am. They've found that there's software now. So we use dry ice, and so there's software now that you can put in the zip code and the weight. So you put it on the scale. Of course, it's automatically tied to UPS. We use UPS for our delivery, and so you put it on the scale, and software automatically looks at the zip code, looks at the weather, and gives you the ounces of dry ice to put in the box.
Whoa.
Before we were kind of eyeballing it, just that looks about right, whatever. And so there was a lot of like personal personal skill and decision making in in using enough but not too much and all that. Now all that's just, you don't even have to think about it. You just put the box on. It gives you the ounces. You break the brick at the ounce pot, pop on in, gone. Good. And so so we're not anti-technology, but that is great technology that we can use. It's that's wonderful technology. So I'm ready to embrace the technology when it helps us to serve better, and take some of the risk out of some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, it's almost like distilling those 10 commandments to scale without selling our soul. I think that's just, it speaks to what you were just saying of also, the core principles of being authentic, maintaining experience, and community, right? Because what's going to
Yep.
happen in the future is we can't trust pictures, we can't trust videos.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of distrust in the future, and people are going to be craving authenticity. They're going to be craving community, being part of a tribe, and they're going to be craving an experience, right? So if
Yep.
you're delivering that as a farm and maintaining that while maybe adapting to some of these AI features, kind of like one that comes to mind to me is on social media, you can post one thing to Instagram, and AI, the software can automatically take the caption in that piece of content and repost it to all the other social media platforms for you. So something like
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't violate community. In fact, it would
Right.
help share your story, right? It would maintain your authenticity. So I think that's the best answer, as honestly, how do we navigate the future with AI and farming? Stick to those
Mm-hmm.
core principles of
Sure.
authenticity,
And,
community, and experience while adapting
yeah.
these AI features or softwares of the future. Yeah, this has been an amazing talk. I really think this will help farmers to kind of regroup. Not only that, but also see what you've done. I think the takeaway guiding light is that you're a continual learner and you're okay with adapting to the market depending on your customers' needs. You have an ear to your customer. It sounds like even with these monthly marketing reports where you say, I don't talk the whole time. I listen to what my
Yeah.
employees are telling me about my customer. That is
Yeah.
just so pivotal. It's not like you figured this thing out in the 80s, 90s, and you're just implementing the same strategies. You're
Right.
adapting as you go. What does our e-commerce pain points look like
Yeah.
right now, and how do we shift? It's just so important. And I think that is the key to how you scaled from a homestead to $1 million plus farm,
Yeah.
4 million plus farm, right?
Yeah. And I would say this too, just so that everybody understands when you and I talk about marketing and sales. So sales is the actual, talk with the customer. That's where the interaction actually happens. Marketing is more a strategy. It's strategic. Um, And what I would tell my farm, because I know farmers, the idea of selling and marketing is just, most farmers turn into a cold sweat. So I want to take pressure off of everybody listening, all the farmers, and say, look, you don't have to personally do this. If you want to direct market, somebody has to do this. It may not be you. It may be a nephew, a niece. It may be a friend down the road. It may be somebody else. Sales and people with a gift to, connect with people and tell story like this. Those people are around. They might not be you, and that's okay. They don't have to be you, but somebody needs to do that. And so if you put them on a commission, so just to be fully transparent, all of our salespeople are on a straight 5% commission. We have about three that women that work part time from home. They make sales calls. They're on a 5% commission. Okay, so we build that into our prices. Now at our farm store, the price is lower because it doesn't take any time to sell. All right. What I'm getting at is that if you've got a person that's selling $1 million worth of stuff a year, that's a $50,000 income, which is, if they're working from home and they can do it, 2 or 3 days a week, that's not a bad income for, like a young mom with a couple kids doesn't want to work outside. So, and some people say, well, good night. If they're really successful, they might earn more than you do. I say, that's great. I would love a marketer, one of our salespeople, to earn more than I do. That would be fine, because that's where you run your pencil, you build in your price so that you're protected, but you really incentivize them to be able to go after it. And so our salespeople aren't guaranteed a penny. They only earn on what they sell. And so that means they're totally into customer service. I mean, even our delivery, our drivers, if they hit a certain benchmark in a year, then they get a Christmas bonus. We share the delivery part of the price with them, so they get a bonus at the end of the year. And so they're constantly looking for new customers, smiling and being gracious and generous to our customers, because they want to grow up, because they want to put another box in there that if they exceed a certain benchmark, we're going to cost share. We're going to share that 60/40 with them, at the end of the year. And so those are things that we've done to throughout the team to spread the to spread the enthusiasm to carry the customer service to the final transaction through the whole thing.
Yeah, it reminds you of the business principle: delegate to elevate. And you've
Yeah,
done that delegation, but
that's
with
right.
mission focused, impact focused, intentional hiring, kind of a strategy. And I think that is what's uh, foundational to taking you to 4 million, is that it's not, you're all aligned. Even when you're not there, say you take a week away, you
Yeah,
know that it's in good hands and with
right,
uh, people that are all incentivized on the
right.
same core focus for the business, right?
Right.
So,
I'm the least valuable person here now. I'm or the least from a day to day operation standpoint. I'm the least important person. I can leave anytime I want, and everything just hums right along. In fact, some might say it hums even better, when I'm gone than when I'm here. But uh, anyway, that's really fun to be able to not have that risk, to not be gone and know, oh, I might get a call. Oh no, what am I going to do about that? No, I, I've got a great team, and they're cooking with gas. It's good.
yeah, yeah, they're in good hands. Well, thank you, Joel, for taking the time. I think this is just super impactful. So I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and help us kind of knock out what farmers need to focus on going into 2025 and beyond here. We look forward to talking to you again in December once they've had a chance to watch this masterclass and have some questions for you. But
Sure,
again,
absolutely.
yeah, the honor's all mine. Thank you for taking the time.
Okay.